Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. OBS chance to be working just fine. Let's hop into this. We're continuing Let's Play Chaos at Noah. And this is the Ayase route. We need to use the negative delusion. And I need to double check this because I already forgot the answers. Yes, no, then yeses. Yes, no, okay. Fes wants me to save her. Yes. I want to give in to her temptation. No. It would feel so good to jump. Yes. I'd be willing to die if I could do it with Fes. Yes. And to release from everything. Yes. Yay! Achievement get.
Ne.
Again, the soundtrack of this game is amazing, but you need to hear more than 3 seconds of it at a time. Ayase Kishimoto stood in front of the school's gate in the morning, looking up at the sky. The other students were passing her by. She noticed the strange looks they gave her, but didn't care. Her eyes were filled with a kind of powerless lethargy. For Ayase, going to school was meaningless. Even now, in her 3rd year, it still felt strange to wear a uniform. Why? Because the world was about to be destroyed. There were more important things to do than go to school. That's how Ayase felt anyway. Still, she came because she was searching for the door, and the other Black Knights. Sume Academy was the place where the Black Knights would gather. No, where they would be gathered. More accurately, that was how Ayase saw it. She'd always been a problem child, rarely even going to middle school. Middle school was compulsory in Japan, but high school wasn't. She never expected to go there. But in the May of her 1st year, she transferred in anyway. She still remembered it well. On that day, she was also standing here, in front of the school. Until then, she'd lived at a facility run by the Heart Medical Group. There she endured hellish trials until she finally became a Black Knight. After a month or so, the rest, to restore her damaged mental state, she'd been exiled from the facility. The director of the facility, she didn't care enough to remember his name, had said this to her just before she left. Starting tomorrow, you'll be attending school in Shibuya called Sume Academy. The preparations have already been made. She was not told the reason. So on this day she transferred, she stood out in the front of the school gate and sang a little song to herself.
天空赤く染まるとき、邪神王の帯同と呼応し、7つの黒き邪神は生まれ、やがて聖域へと召喚される。
I think I remember that from the very first playthrough where you were actually standing out there singing and I didn't know who you were, other than just that you were really cute. But you were actually singing it instead of just saying it. When the heavens turn red and the king of wicked hearts stirs in the womb, 7 wicked hearts will be born to someday gather at the holy grounds.
そして宣言するのだ。悪夢よ、最悪よ、暗黒なる肉塊たちよ。邪神により邪神をほふられ、
There they
邪
would
神王が支配する世界は
there they would
砕け散ると。
There will they declare, O disaster, O nightmare, O lumps of dark flesh. By wicked hearts are wicked hearts buried, and the world, ruled by the king of wicked hearts, shall shatter. It was a line from a myth published under the title The Apocalyptic Psalms of the Book of Gladiol. Remembering it satisfied her. This she knew. was where the Black Knights would gather. So she waited, and she searched. Until now, there had been no sign at all of any wicked hearts, but now at last one had appeared. She'd found someone who could become a Black Knight. To Ayase, this change came far too late, but it was still a welcome change indeed.
もう時間はないわ。グラジオールの復活は
There's little time
すぐ
left.
そこ。
Gladiol's awakening is upon us. She whispered this softly, then she stepped through the gate of the school to see the other Black Knight, the boy she'd seen at the concert. I managed... Okay. Type in the comments what bands you like to listen to. I don't care what genre. Though I tend to listen to more metal and rocks type stuff. I like System of a Down, Rammstein, Disturbed, Infected Mushroom, Linkin Park, Korn, Metallica, Tool, A Perfect Circle, Smile of the Soul. Anime soundtracks, video game soundtracks. Be nice if Warner Brothers let go of the patent on the Nemesis system in Shadow of War. I'd like to see other games use that, Nemesis system in a video game. Ow.
お前だな。よし、繋がった。
Everyone's like, shouldn't you be doing some commentary at this point? I'm like, probably, but I still appreciate this. According to my schedule today wasn't a school day, but I'd come anyway for a reason to see Remy. Good morning, Cosby. Hey, Taku?
暗いな。お前はそういうやつだって分かってるけどな。あれだ。この前は悪かったな。
Yeah?
自分の立ち位置ってのもつかみかねててな。でもまあ、いろいろ考えて。
Okay, this is actually really nice, thank you. I thought about a lot of things. I decided to just go back to how things were before.
よろしくな。
Okay? Cool. He said this so casually he was going to treat me just like he had before, knew I was a creepy loser, without wanting anything in return. Oh damn, I was feeling wet. I'm assuming he wanted to do— What? I mean, yeah, he is cute. I mean, I am bi, but still. Was not expecting this. And it's kind of weird.
まあ、正直なところを言うと、お前に優しくしてやることで、俺は女にモテるわけだ。
Well, I'll tell you the truth. The girls like when I'm nice to you.
あんなダメ人間
He's nice to everybody, even that loser. What a cool guy.
とっ
Like
て
that.
もかっこいい人だわ。キャ
Daisuke Musumi, die in a fire. So what? Really? And I was willing to offer you my virginity too. If you hadn't told me, I never would have realized you were really after. But well, when he came out and said it was just who he was, open and friendly about everything. That was enough for me to get over it. I suddenly let out a
そういえ
chuckle.
ば、岸本のこと
It was a joke, though. Hey, did you hear about Kishimoto?
まだ入院中らしいぜ。
Alright, yeah, we're going to the
怪
hospital.
我は大したことなかったんだけど、精神的にかなり参ってる
She's
ら
in
し
his
い。
bad spot mentally.
いいか、タク。
Listen to me, Taku. If you want to win a
女を
girl's
落
heart,
とすのに
best time to do it is
一番
when.
手っ取り早いというわけで俺、本気で岸本の、そういえばタクって岸本と知り合いだったよな。
あ、
Narujen.
「今日午前4時50分警察の調べ3人とも胴体3人の額に渋谷では2ヶ月ほど前から猟奇殺人事件が頻発しており警察では今回の事
昨日僕に絡んできた。
Staring at the window, only half paying attention to anything going around her. There were no bars or windows like the ones.
Kishimoto-san 体温計ピピってなりました？ 30なちょっと熱っぽいかしら。ズキズキするわ。
Already read this.
あら、またでもそれは薬の副作用よ。気にしな
Still
く
a
ても
different
そのうち
odd.
良くなりますよ。
Because that nurse is a serial killer.
礼します。
Why do I have to reread this? None of it appears to be different.
いやー、記憶力いい。
It's also the fact that he is fucking the nurse, and he's also a serial killer working with the nurse. The cop and the nurse are fucking, and
あ、これ
they're both
よ
serial
くうまいっ
killers.
すよ。
いらない。
まあそう、後でお母さん。
Why are you not letting me just skip this?
綾瀬、申し訳ないっす。
聞きたいこと、アリバイ。
違うっすよ。もう綾瀬ちゃんの容疑を。
目星はついた。犯人の
それは
匠。
秘密っす。
Come on.
しかし彼を見ているともしあれで本当に犯人だったとしたら
If he really is the killer, then he's a demon wearing human skin. This is ironic, given the fact that you, Sua, the police detective here, are actually the killer. You're actually the murderer.
まだ容疑者なの。
いやそういうわけじゃないっすよ。あ、今の情報この前も先輩綾瀬ちゃんもバンさんっていう髪がボスあの人
Come on.
そのくせ自分挙句の果て最近
Already read
いやまあ
this.
その話、ここに来たの。
あいや
Why are you
今の
not letting
話
me
は
skip
そ
it?
れで、
人なんであんなことを
もう何度も
邪神を
死ぬつもり。魂を。
例の若者の間で話題に
ニュージェネのグラジオール世界に復活を阻止する。悔いは剣へ、目には目を。邪神を背負う死人。
なんかそういう壮大な設定は好きっす。
設定、現実よ。
じゃあ最後の質問っす。君や西条くんの他にも
何？
その刑事子供じみて
Come
質
on.
問する。頭が。
あいや君たちは魔法使い違いますよね。
使えるわ。でもニュージェネは
ああそうまずったうわしかも
Come
付き合って
on.
4年になる綾瀬ちゃんはスパークウォーズって知らない？実は自分興味ないっす。じゃ自分はこれで
Yes, that's a fucking splice of the Spider-Man theme in the Imperial March of Star Wars. Darth Spider. It's Darth Vader fused
Yeah.
with Spider-Man.
病棟
Why?
そうなのか。
Is it different because it's just the two of us?
でももしかすると
タクって物知りだな。なあ、この前話したよな。女を落とすのに俺は今日こそあの難攻不落の岸本を落とす。
Alright, you wouldn't have said that around Rimi. Remember I told you the easiest way to seduce a girl? As we walked down the hallway, Misumi's grinning at me. That wasn't really an appropriate topic. Discussion for a hospital, I thought. I think what he said was, if you want to win a girl's heart, the best time to do it is when she's in a
って
vulnerable
見せ
spot.
るぜ。
Today is the day I'm going to seduce the unseducible Kishimoto. He flashed his teeth at me and gave me a thumbs up. He was handsome and cheerful, but the words he was saying were awful. It must be nice to be so hot that girls will forgive you even when you're a shithead.
でだ。
So that's where you
お
come
前
in.
って
You and
岸本
Kishimoto
と
are
仲いい
close.
だろ？
So you didn't even want to be my friend anyway. You're just like, again, not only to manipulate other people, but also for this situation, because you couldn't come on your own. No.
しらばっくれるなよ。というわけで、
Tell her what an
今
awesome
度
guy Daisuke Misumi
岸
is.
本にいかにミス
I
大
will
輔って
push
人
you
間が素晴
out
ら
of
し
the
いかを
fucking
語って
window,
く
man.
れ。
I can't.
無理とか
Come
言う
on,
な
don't say that. Help a guy out here.
マジ頼むから
You're
さ。
just using me. Knock it off. This is us. We're not some sleazy bar. Was it okay to go see Ayase like that? She didn't seem like Misumi that much. My stomach started to hurt.
お、タク
Hey, Taku, I think this is our room.
病室はここじゃな
Misumi
い
stopped
か
and pointed at the place inside the door. It read Ayase Kishimoto, the door shut, and there's no way to tell what was going on inside.
いいか
Ready? Just play along with what I
うまく
say.
俺に話を
What the
合わ
fuck
せ
are
ろ
you
よ
gonna do, Hayachi?
Mm.
Okay. So I just nodded. I needed to talk to her too. And with Misumi there to help me, I didn't feel like I'd be able to do that.
おうせ、
Hey,
岸本さん。
Misumi greeted her cheerfully as he opened the door.
お見舞いに
I
来
came
た
to visit you. Suddenly, Stone dropped. His expression froze. I looked over his shoulder into the room to see what I was wrong. That is a lot of swords. Remy? Okay, obviously the gunblade looking thing is Ayase's. And the wings is Remy's. I'm like trying to mentally think about everybody's swords. Like the wings are Remy's. It's too small to be Senna's blade. And I don't definitely not Kozapi's. Nanami! No, that can't be. Okay, who else is there? Okay, we have Ayase, Remy, Senna, and Kozapi. Shouldn't be this hard to remember 6 people. Look at the different paths. Okay, Senna, Remy. You! I don't remember what her sword looks like. Yeah, I couldn't remember Yua. Okay, so that's Remy's blade and Ayase. So Remy is here, and she's actually apparently on friendly terms. And then we have this other sword, which is either Nanami or Yua. I think Nanami. So in this situation, did Remy rescue Nanami and go to see Ayase? Or did Yua go to Remy? I don't know whose sword that is there. It's definitely not Senna's or Kozapi's. Huh. There was a bathroom in the bed. Whoa! 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 What? The why? Then again, I mean, Remy and I assume Nanami can't be dead because, you know, the swords are still there. The swords will disappear if the owner dies. Ayase was sitting there, covered in blood. Her dead eyes were staring at us. I assume Remy came and got Ayase for help, and Ayase and Remy went together and rescued Nanami, and in the course of things, Nanami awakened. So, my sister should be probably in the bathroom with Remy? Or is Remy temporarily taking, to the floor right above us to visit actual Takumi? The person who shadow cloned Jutsu me. That's right, Misumi. I wanted to run away too, but my legs weren't moving. I was shaking with fear. But I was also struck by how bewitchingly beautiful Ayase looked, as she was covered with blood, and stunned by what I saw lying up against the wall behind her. I couldn't move. casually, oh right, we don't know about Rimi even having these swords, and honestly, it's unusual for Nanami to have awakened at this point. Casually placed up against the wall. Unless that's Yua's. But again, it's unusual for Yua to have awoken either. Was a D-sword. I guess maybe Ayase was more proactive this time around? No, not just one, three, including the one she'd had with her before. All of them looked very different. One had a strange, streamlined form that barely looked like a sword at all. One had a form like a crucifix. It was painful to even look at. So it's probably Nanami's, I think. And one, I don't remember what Yua's sword looks like. And one was mysterious, almost mystic weapon I'd seen or holding before. Why did Ayase have 3 D-swords? Wait, since there was a rule that you couldn't have only one D-sword. It was possible that Sen and Kozapi had several different looking weapons too. Takumi? I shuddered when she called my name. She walked toward me. You came then. Well, why is there so much blood? The red blood in her pajamas still wasn't dry. The raw scent stuck in my nose. This is the blood of a Black Knight. Is it Nanami's? Black Knight, your blood? No. Then who did you kill them? Ayase's eyes narrowed and she laughed. You're scared, aren't you, Takumi? I mean, I think that'd be the normal response. Her bloody fingers stroked my cheek. But what's making you afraid is inside your heart. Defeat your impure. Wicked heart. Keep only your pure wicked heart within you. That's how you'll get your D-sword. I need you to get your D-sword. You are a Black Knight. You have the power. Why have we not invited Kozapi and Senna here? We know they're Black Knights too. What about Yua? If I get a D-sword, will you kill me too? You killed the others, right? Don't be deceived. That is your impure, wicked heart. Ayase was staring in my eyes with a hand on my cheek. Her eyes looked empty, but it also felt like there was a deep light within them. I couldn't look away from her. A Black Knight should be able to control their wicked heart. But the King of Wicked Hearts was clever. The 6th book, Apocalypse Psalms Gladio, Chapter 2, Verse 50. Gladio infects the wicked hearts, subtly and slowly, quietly taking over and making them lose control. Yeah, we kind of saw that with Kozapi. And with me. You must not lose this fight. You're fighting against the psychic invasion of the King of Wicked Hearts. I'd never spent so long gazing into the eyes of a 3D girl. The sadness, loneliness, and strength in her eyes compelled me to keep staring. I hadn't really heard a single thing she said. But protect me. I whispered without even realizing I'd done so. Protect me, please. Very well. She nodded, far more easily than I expected. She brought her face closer. The smell of blood got stronger. This was ordained from the start. She whispered in my ears. My heart was racing. I'll protect you, so I want you to protect me. Standing there covered in blood, she was ravishing, tempting, seductive. It was hard to believe she was my classmate. The other Black Knights, I can't count on them anymore. I tried to gather them together as the prophecy said, but I wasn't strong enough. But with you, your help. It had been exactly the same way at the concert. Sometimes Ayase had looked incredibly sexual. Soon the gate of Kokaitis will fully open. When that happens, the King of Wicked Hearts will descend upon this earth. That's why we need to hurry and gather them. The 7 D-swords. You and I, together. There were those 3 swords lying against the wall, which meant there were 4 of us. 4 left.
うち一
One
本
of
は
those
匠
is the one you are
君
supposed
に
to
見つ
find.
けるべき理想だよ。
僕は
I
手に
couldn't
入れら
find
れ
it.
なかった
I'd come close to a front building, but in the end, I'd abandoned Nanami and run away. I'd given up on getting it.
落ち込むこ
You
とは
don't
な
need
い
to
わ
worry.
機会はいく
There
ら
will
でも
be
やって
any
くる。
number of chances.
すでに
You can
匠は
already see,
見えているんだから。それこ
and
そ
that's proof that you are a
君が
Black
黒騎士
Knight.
である証拠よ。
Wait, will I get it someday?
不条
You
理
can
と
defeat
邪
your
神
impure
の
wicked
力は
heart. Then
必
yes.
ず
What was a wicked heart? Did she mean how my mind constantly is thinking up naughty delusions? That would be very difficult. I didn't think I could beat it at all. Ayase left me and headed to the bed. She began to casually undo her top. I'm going to change.
着替えるわ。
Hey, wait. I looked away quickly. I thought about just leaving the room outright, but
そこにいて
stay there. Now I couldn't go anywhere. The sound of Ayase disrobing echoed through the silent hospital room. This room wasn't that big. It was bigger than the base, of course. But still, now it was just me and Ayase in this cramped space, and Ayase was behind me, changing. I could sense her taking her clothes off, even if I couldn't see it. Crap, I was getting really nervous. There was no reason to be this nervous, though. I had already experienced this exact situation in Higashi Matasema's H game. A slime girl appears. Why should I be nervous now?
なぜ目をそらすの？
Why are you looking away, Takumi? I mean, because it's polite, you're changing. We are not in a
見
relationship,
ちゃまずいし
so I shouldn't be looking at you. I mean, I shouldn't look. My voice was on the verge of cracking.
恥ずかしい
You're
のね。
embarrassed, aren't you? Oh, yeah. Aren't you
綾瀬は
embarrassed?
恥ずかしくないの
Did she mean it was okay to stare? I'm not into 3D girls, okay? I mean it. I really do. Though, I mean, if she's saying I can look, I guess I will.
惑わされているのよ。
You are being deceived. I am confused.
その感情こそが邪神に
The
侵食さ
emotions
れ
you're
ている
feeling
証
are
拠。
proof of that.
惑わされているって
邪神は
Gladio, the king of wicked hearts. I looked over at the paperback on the side of the... I picked up the title. I read Apocalyptic Psalms of Gladio, Book 17.
グラジオールっ
What
て
is Gladio?
邪
No, it
悪なる存
An
在。
evil being.
負の
A
妄
mass
想
of
の
negative
塊。
delusions.
人の
A
心
collective
の闇に
unconscious of
偏在
omnipresence
す
in
る
the darkness
無意識の
of the
注
human
文。
heart.
世界に
A
破
god
滅
who
をも
brings
たらす
destruction
神。
to the world.
言い方は
There are
いろ
any
いろ。
number of ways to describe him. Does he have a
そいつ
wheelchair?
は車椅
Like
子
he
に乗
can't
って
walk
る
or something?
足が
グラジオ
There's
ー
no
ルは
guarantee that Gladio will
人
take
の
human
形
form.
をしている。もういい
It's
のよ
okay, you can turn around
こ
now.
っちを見ても。
I don't know how you washed the blood out of your hair by changing your clothes, but okay. I realized slowly she already changed. For some reason, she was dressed in her school uniform.
なんで
Why are you wearing a uniform?
迫っ
It's
て
coming.
い
The
る
time
から。
Gladio is awakening his hand.
いつでも動
I
け
need
る
to be
ように
ready
し
to
てお
act
かな
at
い
any
と。
moment. Does she need to wear a uniform for that? No, that didn't matter right now. What
グ
does
ラジ
Gladio
オー
have to
ル
do
が
with
ギガロ
Gigalomaniacs?
マニアックスとどう関係してくるの
ギガロ
The Gigolo what?
何
Alright, you don't know the scientific term for Black Knight. Ayase's eyes narrowed just a little. Did she not know what they were? Maybe Senna was the only one who used that phrase. Gigalomaniacs. That's what Senna called people who had the
セナ
power
は
of a
理
D
想
sword.
度を持つ力の持ち主のことをそう呼んでた理想度は
She said something about a
ディ
D
ラックの
sword
海
being
に
a
繋がっ
pipe
たパイプだ
to
とか
the
なんとか
Jurok Sea. One of you is using religious euphemisms, the other is using scientific ones.
呼び方は人それ
There
ぞ
may be
れ
any
かもし
number
れ
of
ないわ。
names for it.
理
The
想
D
度
sword
は
is a manifestation of
人
a
の
human
邪神
being's
を具
wicked
現
heart.
化したものよ。グラジオール記
Such
の
is
記
written in the
録詩編
Apocalyptic
に
Psalm of...
そう書いてある。
It's like I literally have one girlfriend
11章
that is a
23節
priestess, and the other one that is, I guess, a science priestess. It's like, it's called a scientist! Whatever.
預言書なの
It's a
よ。
book of prophecies, you
それ
see.
は
Yase's gaze was locked on the paperback in my hands.
みんなはこういうの
Everyone says the same thing, that my
私が
lyrics
歌詞
are a
によって
prophecy.
予知を行っていると。だけど
But all I'm
私は
doing is taking
グラジオ
inspiration
ール記目
from
視
the
録詩編
apocalyptic
から
psalms
インスピ
of
レ
the
ーショ
book
ンを
of
受けているだ
Gladio.
け。その詩
The
編こ
psalms
そ
are the prophecy,
預
not
言
my
の書なのよ。
songs. Why doesn't anyone
な
realize
ぜ気
this?
づかないの誰も。
予
The
言
book
の
of
書
prophecy,
って
you're kidding.
事実よ。
It's true.
この
What's
渋
happening
谷
in
で
Shibuya
今
right now,
まさ
what's
に
going to
起き
happen
て
in
い
the
るこ
future,
と
all of it was prophesied by
そして
Ziegler, who made it into a story.
次に
Ziegler,
グラ
the
ジオー
author
ル
of the
記も
Psalms. Where is he?
個
When do I
人
meet
だけれ
him?
ど
He passed away,
ツ
but
イ
I
ムラ
believe
ーは強
would
大
be
な
an
黒
incredibly
騎士だった
powerful
と思う
Black
わ
Knight.
私は
Were what Ayase called Black Knights the same as Gigalomaniacs? If that's the case, then it would make sense if the author could use his Gigalomaniac powers to write a book of prophecies. I flipped through the thing that I accidentally skipped through. The book, Apocalypse Psalms, and I gasped. It was blank. I flipped through every page and not a single one had a single word on it. What the hell was this? I looked at the cover. There's no illustration on the cover. It was just title, name of the author. I couldn't see the name. So it's just a book? Is this the thing you imagined? I went back to the very first page. It was blank, just right dress. I went all the way through, not a single page had anything on it. Is this defective?
どういうこ
What do
と
you mean? I mean,
これ全部
all the
白紙
pages
じ
are
ゃない
blank.
か。
Okay, so you're the one actually seeing the fucking future, but you're just imagining that you're reading someone else's stuff.
何を言って
What are
い
you
るの
talking about? So you're
ちゃんと
imagining
書かれ
the
ているわ
words there. It's just a normal
何度
book.
も読んでい
I've
るの
read it many times. But I mean, look,
そんなこと
I
言っ
opened
て
the page and shoved it right in
ほら。
front of her face.
遠くから
It's
どう見ても
totally blank.
ちっとも
It's
書
not
く
blank at all.
いや
No, it is.
ここに字
There
が
are words
書
right
いてあ
here.
る
Can't you see them, Takumi?
見えないの
No.
匠
No, I can't. Why are we all crazy? Granted, I win the contest on that, but still, it's not a competition. Was she just screwing with me? Was she serious? Or was she just absolutely crazy girl?
君に
So
は
you
見
can't
え
see
ない
the
の
text, can you?
侵食
It's
され
because
て
you're
い
being
るから
corrupted
だ
by the
わ
King of Wicked Hearts.
写真王に
So I need a D sword. Okay, gotcha. Ayase looked totally serious. She didn't seem to be joking at all. In fact, my phone is ringing. Okay, telemarketer. In fact, I didn't think I'd see it or tell a joke. I looked at the book again, but it was all blank. I just looks blank to me. I see.
そう
Seemed slightly disappointed as she took the book from me. Our fingers touched for a cold moment. My heart skipped a beat. Her fingers were cold.
考えたことがあ
Have
る
you ever thought about it?
な
Thought about
何
what?
世界
The
は
fact that every person sees the world in a different way.
見える形が違うということその
And
際
you'll
を
never
確
notice
か
how
め
big
る
the
ことは
difference
で
is.
きないわ
It's
概念
impossible to
や
make
認
your own
識を他人
understanding
と完璧に一致
of a
させるこ
concept
とは
identical to someone
不可
else's.
能だでもこれ
But
だけはは
there's
っ
one
き
thing
り
I'm
して
sure
い
of.
る君が
What
見
you're
てい
seeing
る
and
も
what
の
I'm
と
seeing, the difference is
私
due
が
to our
見てい
wicked
るもの
hearts.
写
What I
真
do with
の
the King of
集
Wicked
合
Hearts
体
is
は
collective formed
写
of
真
all
を
of them.
グラジオール目覚
And
めよう
he's
と
about
して
to
いる
awaken very soon.
もしも
And
目
if he
覚めたら
does,
この世に
6.7 billion
67億ある世
individuals.
界
There's
は
over 8 billion people
写
here.
真王が生む
Will fuse and
構
melt
造によっ
together
て
into
混じり
and the chaos.
溶け
What are
合
you
う
talking
こと
about?
に
Like
なるわ
third impact, not third melt? You know, Evangelion.
境界
All
が消え
boundaries bound. Yeah.
写真により
And a
連
world
結され
created
た
of
世
linked
界にな
hearts
る
will
の
be
よ
born. All things will be
あ
born
らゆ
without
る
any
ものが
laws
規
to
則
bind
性
their
もな
creation.
く生まれ
And all things will die in a
あら
sequence
ゆる
of
ものは
concepts, awareness,
一瞬で
causality.
死ぬ
All will be destroyed.
概
Yeah,
念
this is
認識
definitely
が
Evangelion
因果律が
inspired.
すべて破壊されるすべて
A
あるが
world
ゆ
with
えに
everything, and thus a world of
何も
nothing.
ない世界あらゆる
Just
神
like
話
all
と
the
同
myths,
じよ
it
う
has been
に
prophesized.
終
A
末
prophecy of
よ
the end times, a psalm of destruction.
滅びの歌
Was that really true? What was the meaning of the blank paperback book? Was it just were apocalyptic psalms of the Book of Gladiol?
このままで
Destruction is coming.
滅びの結末に至るだけ今
The only ones who can stop it
止め
are
られる
you
のは
and me and the two of us
私と
and no one
君
else. Why the two of us?
導きよ
Guidance.
他
The
の
other
黒
Black
騎士は
Knights were tainted by the
す
King
で
of
に
Wicked
邪神
Hearts.
王に侵
The
食
other
され
Black
てしまっ
Knights,
た
Ayase, had been covered in blood just a moment ago. Blood she had belonged to other Black Knights. Had she killed them somewhere in the hospital? But then where are the bodies? Ayase walked past me and put her hand on the door. Well, what are you doing?
おしっこ
To
よ
pee. She answered emotionally and left without waiting for my answer.
Huh?
I looked around to see if there was any other books from the Gladiol series, but there weren't. I didn't know how many volumes there were, but I'd picked up one of book 17, so books 1 through 16 were nowhere in the room. Obviously, it was possible that she just brought them with her. But after seeing the blank pages of the book, I found the idea hard to believe. The one book is all volumes. I left the room before Ayase came back. There were several computers in the lobby with internet access. I've been well and hostels I knew about them. Visiting hours were evidently over, and the lobby was empty. It was so crowded during the day, but now it was almost clearly quiet and kind of unnerving. I hurried over to the computers before one of the nurses could find me and kick me out. I'm pretty smart from all my anime, manga, and video games, and I knew a lot about myths from around the world. But even I had never heard of the apocalyptic psalms in the Book of Gladule, and I only found about them when I'd been researching Ayase. I decided to search the internet for them. Wasn't it poems that she wrote when she was in the mental hospital? Where they were torturing her? There was a pretty good sized number of hits. I was surprised how many, and I felt a little frustrated. Like many, it was big, and I just didn't know about it. But when I counted on the list, I saw they all had one thing in common. They were all about Phantasm or Fes. The apocalyptic songs were all introduced as something Fes talked about, or something the band had come up with. The name was there, but nothing else. I couldn't find anything on the actual contents of the book. There was a wiki entry, but it only had a few lines of basic information. A fictional novel based on Eastern European legends of Gladio the King of Wicked Hearts, a 23-volume high fantasy series, depicts the War of the Seven Black Knights in Gladio, written by R.C.O. Ziegler, published between 1929 and 1951, translated into several languages, but commercially unsuccessful due to its complex writing. All volumes are out of print in Japan and difficult to find. Okay, I already read that. That was all. The mythology pages were all fleshed out. This one felt way too empty. It was a little better than the wiki article I'd see on the D-Sword, but not by much. Since anybody could edit a wiki, it wasn't even clear if what was said was true or not. The image of the D-Sword page had been totally wrong, for one thing. The idea has been going around in my head for a while now. Maybe the Apocalypse Songs of Book Gladule were just a product of Ayase's delusion. I think they were a set of poems that she wrote in the mental hospital. So, yeah. Though I guess, and of course we've already shown that people's delusions could actually affect the real world in this game. Lovecraft had, for the lack of a better word, turned his delusions into stories, which he'd spread by publishing them. What if Ayase was trying to do the same thing with songs? But that way it sounded like a really cool thing to do, but all she was really doing was sharing her crazy nonsense with the rest of the world. And to make matters worse, she thought it was real, not fiction. Was everything she told me a delusion? Maybe the whole end of the world thing was just hidden desires of her. A lot of otaku could be like that. I am the key to the world's destruction, you know? Goofy stuff like that. Oh, that goes for me, too. Maybe this whole end of the world thing was just some hidden desire of hers. A lot of otaku could be like that. I am the key to the world's destruction, you know? Goofy stuff like that. So I guess the key between otaku and goth is not a very thick line. Ooh, that goes for me, too. Laugh I don't know how to do. What kind of ending did she want her myth to have, and was it safe for me to believe in her? I guess it didn't matter. She was the only one I've got. Rimi was gone, and Senna was a little scary, and Kozupi wasn't somebody you can count on to do anything. Or so crazy, or not, delusional or not, I had no choice but to rely on her. Also, she had a D-Sword. Yua also gets a D-Sword, and so does Nanami. Whatever else was false, that was true, and delusions or not, she'd prophesized the new-gen murders in her songs. Maybe it was possible that her delusions were having an effect on reality. The same way Kozupi reads people's minds, I think Ayase's subconsciously dreaming other people's memories, and then she's just writing the songs, but the reason why they're true is because she's actually, seeing the memories of the serial killers. After all, they live here too. Maybe it was possible that her delusion had an effect on reality. If that was the case, then it would mean that she was incredibly powerful, and I'd be a fool not to use her. Fortunately, although I had no idea why, she seemed to have taken a liking to me. As long as I didn't take anything she said too seriously, there'd be no problem. So yeah, no problem at all. I went back to her room and pounded the steak. Tear through the darkness and bathe in moonlight. "10,000 iron hammers, bringing you pain, now unleashed. Your screams dance in the air.
染まるだろう
staining the night sky red. Ayase was sitting on the bed, eating the meal the nurses had given her. No. Was she eating? It looked like she was just sitting there, bored and humming, while she poked her freeze-dried tofu with her chopsticks. The song she was singing was a phantasm one, and the one that was said to prophesy the third Nugent case. Crucified, a bloody contract for your sins. I'd bought her album, so I knew it. Right now, she wasn't pounding in any steaks. She was pounding, or well, stabbing her freeze-dried tofu, though. When she saw me, she smiled slightly, like she was relieved.
戻ってこないかと思ったわ
I thought you weren't coming back.
どこへ行ってい
Where
た
did
の
you go?
ちょ
I was looking something up
ちょ
at
っ
the
と
computers in the lobby.
調べ物を。
今日は
Stay here
こ
tonight.
こに泊まって
I'm cool with that.
一緒にいて
Stay with me. Wait, seriously? I was so shocked. I took a step back. Since when did she like me that much?
お腹
Are you
空いてい
hungry?
ない食べてもいいわよ
You can eat this if you want. She picked up the tofu or chopsticks and offered it to me.
そ
Are
れ
you
って
saying that just
綾瀬
because
が
you don't want to eat
食
it?
べたくないだけじゃ。
That's right.
そうよ
She smiled just a little.
まずいの
Hospital food isn't
病
very
院
good.
食は
I'm sure it must be tainted
不
by
純
an
な邪
impure
心に
wicked
染
heart.
まっているのね
They're just bad cooks.
と
Was it just me, or was she badly overusing the phrase wicked heart? Maybe it was just her favorite phrase or something.
じゃ
If it's tainted with wicked heart, is it
の
okay
に
if
僕は
me to eat it?
食べてもいい。
普段から
You're
邪
soaking
心
wicked
まみれ
hearts all the
でしょ
time anyways.
匠は
Takumi. Okay, fine, fair
コンビ
point.
ニのお弁当
Convenience
や
store
カップ
lunches
麺
and cup
は
noodles are perfect
不
examples
浄なる
of
食べ
impure
物の最
foods.
たる例よ
Well, what do you eat?
黒きしと
If
し
you're
て
going to
覚
awaken us
醒
a
する
black
た
knight,
め
you
に
should
は
stop eating them.
摂取をやめるべきだわ
Well, what do you
綾瀬
normally
は
eat?
チョコレート
Same. Chocolate? If anything's tainted, it's probably the
十
chocolate.
分邪心に染まってそうな気がするけど。
Wait, did this mean she only ever ate chocolate? That's terrible. That's worse than me.
チョコレートはいいわ邪心を打ち払う力を持つのよあの甘さは
Chocolate is good for you. Its sweetness has the power to drive away wicked hearts. Yeah, bullshit. I might believe in a lot of weird stuff, but that wasn't going on around me or me. But no way in the hell was I going to believe that.
というわけで匠
So there you have it, Takumi. Come on. She continued to push the freeze-dried tofu in my direction. Did she really just not want to eat it that badly? I wasn't a big fan of freeze-dried tofu myself.
いらない。
I'll pass.
それは許されないわ
Unacceptable. Why? This isn't fair. Having a girl offer you food like this was supposed to be every guy's dream. So why didn't it feel romantic at all? Because Ayase just wanted me to eat the food she didn't want to eat? Or because Ayase was 3D? She didn't seem like to give up on having me eat the tofu. So I put it in my mouth, I bit into it, and the taste of the broth had been soaked and spread throughout my mouth.
よく頑張ったわ
Excellent.
これで
You've taken one step closer
黒騎士に
to
近づ
becoming
い
a
たわ
black knight, Takumi.
匠
I hope it's not poison. Not a chance.
次は
Now the next step is for you to eat this braised burdock root? Please make her stop. Okay, seriously though. Where is Rimi and I assume Nanami if their swords are here? This is concerning. Like, I imagine they were just up at the real Takumi Nishio, dying of super cancer, and then they would come down for their swords. But still, I'm concerned. Are they in comas? What is happening? Also, here's the thing. Takumi is living in the hospital, not me, but the other Takumi. Why did he not talk to Ayase? Then again, so is the serial killers. They're also here. Then again, the evil corporation that's about to do world domination literally built this hospital and built my school. It's like, okay, who built our hospital? Like Donald Trump. Who built the school? Elon Musk. It's like, huh, I wonder. I wonder what's the concern. It's like, oh, who built the gaming arcade? After our meal, Ayase had been a long lecture about the apocalyptic psalms, seemingly oblivious to the fact that the sun had set. So she was so into it she forgot to turn on the lights in the room after it got dark. What she said, unfortunately, was just a slightly more detailed version of what she told me before. Most of it I already knew. Ayase's voice was so flat, it made you really sleepy. So we're just getting ASMR'd. With Shogun out there, it was dangerous to fall asleep, but still. And that's the
そう
story.
いうわけなのよ。理解できた？
Okay, so we're staying at a girl's hospital room and she's giving us ASMR. And now she starts cleaning our ears. And doing roleplay. Yes, I'm being facetious. Huh? Oh, yeah. I hadn't really been listening at all, but I nodded anyway. Ayase's eyes narrowed and she drew closer to me.
聞いてなかったのね。
You weren't listening, were you? I was trying, but I'm tired.
No.
Could Ayase get mad sometimes too? She didn't look like she was the emotional type. If I made her mad, maybe I should apologize?
それも邪神に染まってい
Okay,
る
that's kind of hurt my feelings now at this point. That's because you're tainted with a wicked heart. More crap about wicked hearts.
先に
Looks
取
like
り
we'll
除
have
か
to
なくて
remove
は
it
ならない
first.
よう
Your
ね。
corrupted wicked heart.
君の侵食した邪神を。
Okay, I went to a very, very sexual joke. It's like, oh, your heart's still corrupted. We'll have to remove your wicked thoughts. And then she unzips my pants and sucks my cock. And then after I come, she's like, okay, you're one step closer to come. Okay, whatever. Okay.
でなければ
Otherwise, you won't be able to grow a
純粋
pure
なる
wicked
邪
heart.
神は培養されない。
Remove
取
it?
り除く
What was she going to do to me? I shivered, imagining some kind of surgery. But that didn't seem to be what she meant. For some reason, she licked her lips seductively. I got a quick glance at her pink tongue. It looked incredibly sexy.
君の邪神を取り除くためなら何でもするわ。
I'll do anything it takes to get rid of your wicked heart.
望みが
If there's something you want me to do, just say it. Okay? Anything? I didn't know what it meant to remove a wicked heart, but, how about this? Okay, Takumi's actually about to make the same joke I made. Kiss me then.
キスでもしてもらおうか
Even in the darkness, I could see her frown. Okay, you don't like me like that. Okay. Well, I at least asked. Well, I'm gonna go sit by the window and look at the bridge. Hopefully a ship doesn't drive the fuck into it. Maybe I'd gone a little overboard. I thought maybe she'd start to hate me or abandon me. So I quickly went to apologize. But she grabbed me by the collar before I could. Then she dragged me into the closet.
ちょ
What are you doing? Shh. Ayase pressed her body up against mine. She closed the closet door, squeezing the both of us together inside. It was tiny. There wasn't room for two people inside. I was up tight against her body, with nowhere to move. And I could hear her quiet breathing in my ear, too. The darkness made me feel terribly excited. What is it?
看護師の見
The
舞い。
nurse is making her rounds. Oh, so that's why we were hiding. Visitors weren't allowed at this time of night. And certainly not allowed to sleep here. If I was found here, I'd be kicked out. Okay, but you're still supposed to be in your room yourself. Aren't they going to be concerned if the patient's missing? But how is that supposed to work if Ayase hid with me?
この病院にも
We have many enemies here in the hospital. I mean, yeah, the nurse actually is a serial killer. Enemies?
グラジオで
Servants of Gladio. They lurk in the shadows,
私たちの
waiting
心
for
を
a chance to
支配しよう
control
と
our hearts.
こうして
Was she saying the
淡々
nurse
と
was...
狙っている
Yeah, I mean, Hazuki actually is a serial killer. Honestly, she's a serial killer that's actually kind of more evil than most real-world serial killers. And the detective is her husband, who's also a serial killer. Are you sure you're not just being paranoid? Quiet.
静かに
Ayase suddenly put her lips over mine. I can feel the softness of her lips. The shock made my mind go completely blank. And just then, the door opened. I heard a strange sound too. Somebody came in, making no noise as they walked. Yep, it's Hazuki. She's not here. I heard a woman's voice. It was the one I'd heard somewhere before, but I couldn't remember where. Yeah, it's Hazuki, the serial killer. Did she run away? She can't have realized who we are, can she? The fact that I'm here to hear this, I can at least tell Ayase she's not being paranoid. Yes. Perhaps I was too careless in making contact with her. She seemed to be talking to somebody, but I couldn't hear her. Who was she talking to on the phone then? Ayase's lips were still pressed against mine. I smelled something sweet. Ayase smelled so good, and it wasn't just her lips, her chest, her shoulders, her hips, her thighs, her hair. They were all so soft. There might be someone dangerous just beyond the closet door, but my mind was going totally blank as I gave myself over to the pleasure. And then she started sucking my dick. Is everything finished on your end? I see, so it's just about to begin. Then understood. I'm heading to Scramble Crossing. Oh, the thing where you... Goodbye. Mamoru. May the divine light save you. The conversation seemed to have ended. A moment later, the suspicious woman wordlessly left the hospital room. There was no sign of anybody outside the room. It should be safe to go home. So did you come here to kill Ayase? But Ayase still wouldn't let me go. She moved her lips away for just a moment, and she looked at me with dewy eyes. Takumi, I am the guide. You are the savior. Thus has fate decided. So, you can do whatever you want to me. I'll grant your wish, no matter what it might be. I didn't understand what she was saying. I thought it might be another one of my delusions, but I didn't really mind. Takumi. Ayase kissed me again, and this time, she brought her wet tongue between my teeth and into my mouth. It wrapped itself around my own. I stopped caring about everything. I wrapped my hands around Ayase's little slender body and gave myself over to the pleasure. Well, we finally got the story path where we get laid. It hurt to breathe a little. I sucked up her hot breath. Her saliva came pouring into my mouth. It was very sweet. I gulped it down loudly. My brain felt paralyzed, like it was going numb. The pleasures of the 3D world were beyond what I could handle. Did I pass out? I heard a sound in the distance. Ayase gasped and moved herself away from me. What was that sound? Her lips were wet with a mix of her saliva. Even in the darkness, I could see that much. Forget the sound. Let's go back to the kissing and hopefully more. Yahoo! My virgin days are finally over. KTKR. But wait a second. Had Ayase done something like this with other guys? Wouldn't it be disgusting if she wasn't a virgin? Why does that matter? Or did I only think that because too many H games had rotted my brain? I don't think H games have anything to do with that. Okay, whatever. No, she had to be a virgin. Hope nobody would possibly want to date somebody this crazy. Hell, even Masumi had practically run away screaming. I mean, she was covered in blood. Stop grinning like that, Takumi. Why did you smack? Suddenly she slapped me. The giddiness I was feeling faded instantly. I started to get a little nervous. I thought I was going to cry, actually. Ayase was looking at me sternly. I grabbed onto her. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Don't let your wicked heart control you. You need to control it. Otherwise, you'll never awaken as a black knight. Don't forget that. Okay. I still wasn't clear what a wicked heart was, but the reason I was so giddy was that Ayase had kissed me. At least I saw it, as I saw it. I didn't think it was a good idea to point it out, though. Let's go. Where? That sound was a gunshot? Oh right, Bond's here. At the hospital. Getting shot by Sua. Fuck. Oh, you was here with him too! A gunshot here in Japan? Sure, it kind of sounded like one, but I'd only heard gunshots in games and movies. Didn't feel real.
銃
It's
声
a
だった
gunshot,
と
then why
し
are we
て
going toward it?
これも
This
また
wasn't the prophet. Are we saving
すで
Bond?
に邪神王との
The
戦い
battle with the
が
King of the
始まっ
Hearts
て
is
いるの
beginning.
よ。黒騎
The
士の
mines of the
心は
Black
殺
Knights
さ
are
れて
being
いく。
destroyed.
だから
So
回
we're
収
going
す
to
る
recover it. The D sword.
私
That's
たち
all
に
we can
できる
do.
のは
The
それ
Black
だ
Knights
け
were being killed. Did that gunshot mean somebody had been shot? The police. No, the police are ruled by the wicked
警
hearts.
察
And
の
yeah,
邪神に支
Sua
配され
is a
て
police
しまってい
officer.
る。
And he's also a serial killer. And he's shooting the other cop. Crazy, no crazy, didn't even begin to cover it. Ayase was way beyond crazy. The apocalyptic solves were a delusion. Everything she was saying was part of her delusion. What kind of ending does she want to hear a story to have? What was I supposed to do?
ついてきて。
Follow me, Takumi. Ayase left the room, alone. I hesitated to follow her. Suddenly I realized the 3D swords near the windowsill had vanished. Ayase must have taken them. I bit my lip, and after a moment's hesitation, I followed her. Ayase headed straight toward the roof, almost as if she knew exactly where the gunshot had come from. The roof of the hospital was a small garden. There were planters with blooming flowers, but it was too dark to see what color they were. I hid behind Ayase and moved around. I couldn't see anyone here. Nothing was moving. Had this really been where the gunshot had come from? And if so, who was the shooter? Normal Japanese people don't have guns.
やっぱり
Let's go back.
も
I
し
don't want to get shot.
撃たれたらまず
Ayase
いよ
was listening to me. She walked deeper into the garden. I had no choice but to follow. I could see a blurry blue light in front of us. It was very pale, as if it was about to disappear, but it was shining and flashing.
ディソー
A
ド
D
だ。
sword. I think that's Yua's. It was elegant and at the same time had a sharpness to it that seemed to reject the entire world around it. It felt bizarre, like it wasn't of this world. Next to the D sword stabbed in the concrete, I could see two people lying on the ground. I recognized them both.
ユア
Yua! The girl dressed in the Sume uniform lying face up was definitely Yua. What was she doing here? The other was a middle-aged man. Are they both dead? The other was a middle-aged man. I remembered him. He was the one who'd questioned me after the crucified case. Both of them weren't moving. I approached them tremblingly. There was a pool of blood forming under... Oh, they're both dead. Fuck. There was a pool under both of them. I quickly leapt back, but it was too late. The sticky crimson liquid soaked into the bottom of my shoes. The detective's body was particularly bloody. I couldn't see any injuries on Yua's. I think she fell off to her death. Fuck. What had happened here? There were two of them doing here together. I can understand why a detective would have a gun, but who had shot this guy? Was it Yua? So many doubts were filling my head. I had trouble processing what I was seeing. Completely bewildered, I turned to Ayase for help. Ayase walked toward Yua, a frown on her face. She paid no attention at all to the detective. She knelt next to Yua, being careful not to step on the blood, and put a finger up against her neck.
脈はある
She's breathing. She is alive.
だけど
But her mind is dead.
死んでそっちの
As for
男
him,
の
it
人
looks
は
like it's too late.
もうダメなのよ
His,
ね
her voice was calm as always. How can you be so calm? People are dead. I told you, this was
予言
prophesized.
されていたからよ
What do you mean, prophesized?
綾瀬
Are
が
you
望
sure
んだ
it's not the
妄想じゃない
delusion you wanted? It might be. Actually,
そう
there's
か
no
も
way to
しれ
tell,
ない
though.
わね
That's
それが
horrible. It's just being realist. It doesn't matter. What the cause is, mean. Ayase stood up and pulled her own D sword out of empty air. She brought the shining blade near the D sword stuck in the ground. There was an awful resonating voice of piercing high frequency, like somebody was stabbing a pick into my ear and jerking it around. Then the D swords blended together, and the way melted together ignored all the loss of physics. It was like a liquid, but also like clay. They kept changing shape violently, like they were thrashing in pain. The resonating noise got louder. I put my hands over my ears, but did nothing. Okay, you're absorbing. The air exploded. The next thing I knew, the D sword moved from ground in Ayase's left hand. Ayase didn't look so... I think this is going to make her explode. For once, her expression looked like she was in pain. But then she smiled at me. Her cheeks were a little flushed, like something had excited her.
4本目は
This is the fourth sword.
これで
There was a dead body right in front of us. The person who shot the detective might be lurking here. What was the sword more important than any of that? Because it was needed for the ending of Ayase wanted? Defeating Gladio with the 7D swords. Was Gladio even real?
気軽マニア
Even
ック
Gumag
と
had
な
been
ったもの
every Gumag has been broken once in the past.
誰だろうと一度は壊れているんだよ
I remember that what Senna said. Ayase was as broken as the rest of them. Did that mean I was going to end up the same way someday? No, not someday. I'd already been broken a long time ago. Ayase made the D-swords vanish and then appeared melting in the air. Are we going to call the cops? Yua was my enemy. Leaving her with the dead guy wouldn't make me feel guilty in the slightest. But I stepped in the blood and looked down and saw my footprint was clearly visible in the concrete. The police might easily think I was the killer.
通報はしないわ。
That was a relief. At least Ayase looked up at the night sky. Her expression was still stern. I think it's about time. Time for what?
グラジオ
Gladio will soon awaken, according to
間もなく
Zyler's
目覚める
prophecy, that is.
心
Be
して
ready, Takumi.
最悪
The
に
world will
包
be
まれるの。
enveloped by disaster.
君
You're
は
going to see a world you've never
見
seen
たことも
before.
ない世界を。
I mean, there's about to be a giant earthquake. But you must stand fast, or you won't be able to defeat Gladio. Her voice was shaking. Ayase, the girl who wasn't afraid of anything, was scared. Was something that terrible about to happen, or was she envisioning it in her mind and trying to make it real? I am not ready.
だったら
Then get
急い
ready.
で
There's not much time
もう
left.
時間が
Come
な
on,
い。
don't say that. How am I supposed to get ready when I don't even know what's going to happen?
世界
The
は
world's about to
崩
melt.
壊し
Third melt.
連結が始まる。
Third impact. And linked together as one. She whispered in no particular, looking up at the sky. I looked up too. Up there it goes. And saw that the point of the sky had turned white. It was like a brilliant white out of place in the night. What the hell was that? And then I remembered. Hadn't the sky turned white like that during the last earthquake? When white began to spread, I couldn't tell what, but something about it made it feel very afraid. I gulped.
グラジオ
Gladio has awakened.
目覚めた。
We should get off the building before the... Okay, it's happening. Rumbling, the building was shaking. No, it wasn't just the building, everything was shaking. The white in the sky spreading further and further. The next thing that hit me was a terrible ringing in my ears, like the resonating sound from D swords a moment ago. It felt like my head was about to explode from within. And then... Then we have the Tetris theme. The whole world turned white. Was this a dream? The sky was red. It had been white a moment ago. But now the whole world was rusted red. This must be a dream, a delusion. Like all the other ones, that's what I decided to tell myself. I could see the black puffs of mist here and there. I felt like they were shaped like humans. It had to be a hallucination, but it looked bizarrely real. They were shivering slowly in irregular patterns. One would disappear, one to appear, a moment later somewhere else. There were many of them. And just looking at them made me feel upset somehow. Something smelled terrible. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't want to be here for a second longer than I had to. I had a strong, overwhelming desire to get out. When I woke up, the sky was bright red and Shibuya was a city of death. General Hospital hadn't collapsed. Luckily, but there were huge cracks in the walls, and inside it was a mess. The lobbies of the outpatient wing were filled with the wounded, some who were brought here by the ambulance and some who'd walked here on their own. They were all demanding to be first to be seen by the doctor. When I woke up, Ayase smiled at me and told me we were going back to Shibuya. I asked her what time it was, and she said around 6 in the morning. I would have been unconscious for 10 hours or so then. I couldn't see you anywhere. I asked Ayase, but she said she didn't know. The train ride from Yoyogi to Shibuya takes less than 5 minutes, but the aftershocks of the quake had shut the trains down entirely. The tracks were an absolute mess. They wouldn't be coming back online today. We were forced to walk, but the streets were cracked up and caved in, or blocked entirely with rubble from the fallen buildings. A straight path was impossible. It took us almost 3 hours to get to Shibuya Station. The area around the station was a mess. Most of the buildings had fallen. The number of bodies was unbelievable, and the way they had died was too horrible to look at. Some people were still moving. Some people were walking around with looks of shock on their face, like us. Others were crouched next to the rubble and waiting for help, and some of them were clinging to the dead and crying. None of the living had the energy left to even look at them. The shock had drained all the energy from their bodies. The strong smell of blood, and the smell of dust, and the foul smell of something rotting had filled the air. Was this Gladiol's doing? Maybe Gladiol was an earthquake. In America, they give human names to hurricanes like Andrew and Katrina. Was this the ending that Ayase had wanted? Maybe it was the perfect ending for an apocalyptic fantasy. But even if Ayase was a kilomaniac, or what she called a Black Knight, could she really cause this huge earthquake all on her own? She talked about the world melting in Lincoln. What did that mean? I took a quick look at her. She was a few steps in front of me. This was enough to rattle even her. From the look of it, she bit her lip as if it would help her endure the pain, and walked on silently. Hey everyone, it's dangerous here. Let's go to a shelter. The speaker, the middle-aged man in a suit, and a good number of people were still alive, including us. He seemed to be speaking to the survivors. We'll be here all day if we wait to be rescued, but we can get to the shelters we'll be fine. It'll be a lot better than staying here. I know it's hard, but stand up and let's go. We have a duty to live on for the sake of the ones who died here. The guy had a lot of energy, I thought. Several of the people around him must have agreed with him, though as they began to slowly walk toward him, most, however, didn't. Ayase ignored him as she seemed to be heading somewhere. I had no choice but to go with her. I felt a stabbing pain in my temples, the same pain that hit me several times on the way here from Yoyogi. Please, everyone, stand up. We can't just understand the place is dangerous. What if you get crushed by rubble? I want all of you to survive. My head hurts. Okay. Well, what's going on? The sky suddenly turned red. I looked up and saw the reddish-bronze clouds in the sky. It was what I had seen in my dream. The asphalt road, the concrete rubble, the buildings, glass on the road, the ground, lampposts broken at their bases. They were all covered in rust. Am I reading Sua's mind? The way I looked into his wife's mind? I heard an insane laugh. It was the man who had been trying to get everyone to evacuate. Oh no, don't tell me that. The guy, I didn't reckon. There was a lot that looked like black mist wrapped around his body. No, it wasn't just him. Everyone except the dead had that mist coming out of their bodies. The mist was the same size as the person. It was slowly wavering and seemed curiously alive, and something about it made me just feel sick. This was the same as my dream, too. The man's laugh was pissing me off. I turned over to him, and for some reason, there was an assault rifle in his hands. There are no cops here now. I can kill anybody I want. He suddenly started firing the gun. I dropped down. I'd been shot. At least I thought I had been. I was right in front of him when he'd been firing. But I didn't feel any pain. I looked up terrified. There's water, food, and blankets at the shelter. There's no point in staying here. He didn't have a gun. He was yelling at the people around him. Come on, find the strength to live. You don't want to die here. The change was instant. The man had been shouting with his fist in the air. There was a burst of static, and suddenly he was holding a gun. That wasn't how human beings worked. There was a gap between one movement and the other. It didn't feel real at all. It was like watching two separate videos that had been badly spliced together. He fired his gun again, and people around me were falling over, blood spurting from the bullet wounds. There were screams all over the square, but for some reason none of the bullets touched me. It felt like I was watching a movie. It didn't feel real.
Takumi.
Takumi? I'm having a mental breakdown, Ayase. When Ayase said my name, everything went back to normal. She was staring at me. She looked like she wanted to say something, but instead she just turned her back to me and started walking. I looked up at the sky. It was cloudy, but it wasn't red. A dull great light lit up everything around me. It wasn't rusty red. The man with the gun was still calling for people to go to the shelters. The people he'd shot were unharmed. I couldn't see any black mist anywhere. What did I just see? Another delusion? Same as always? If so, my imagination sure was what it used to be. The delusion just now just didn't feel real at all. It was like a movie or a video game. Takumi, hurry up. Ayase motioned me onward. Where she was going, was she headed to a shelter, like the man had been saying? As it turned out, she wasn't. For some reason, she'd been heading into the Inokashira Line station. No staff were there. The trains weren't moving. She got down on the tracks and started to walk alongside them. The tunnel was dark, poorly lit. This was a place where most people would never be allowed in their entire lives. It hadn't collapsed yet, but there was no telling when it would. Yesterday, I would have never imagined to be doing something like this. An adventure alongside the train tracks. It'd make for a great movie. Wait, Wasn't there already a movie like that? It was from before I was born, so of course I'd never seen it. All I knew was that it was about walking along train tracks in search of a dead body. Actually, I guess the subway tunnel wasn't a very good movie set. Not much to see. The tunnel would take us to Shinsen, then to Kumba Todayamai, and then after the Ikinawe and the Shimokitazawa if you wanted a way to get out of Shibuya. Following the train tracks like this would be a good way to do it, but we'd walked all the way back from Yoyogi, which was a good distance away from Shibuya's center. It was safe to assume that whatever Ayase was doing, she wasn't trying to escape Shibuya. Where are you going? Shinsen Station. What would she want to do there? What was she planning on heading to the school, or maybe she wanted to go to the base? But Ayase didn't know where I lived. I suddenly wondered if Sarah Tan was safe. What would I do if my Kurenai building had collapsed in the earthquake and my wives were buried in the rubble? I had more important things to worry about now, though. I could see a light up ahead. Suwa, probably. There was a railway crossing, out past the tunnel, where you could see the sky, past the tracks and the building again. And that's where the platforms were. Didn't we usually run into Senna and Kozue here? Are they both going to be left here dead? Are we going to come across the corpses of Senna and Kozue? And her dad? And Sua's just going to be like there, like... The lights on the platform out because of the earthquake. It was dark inside. It was almost entirely empty. I could only see two people sitting on the platform with their clothes. They were both females, students from Sume. Ayase walked straight toward them. Did she know them, maybe? As I got closer, I could see them clearly, even in the darkness. My eyes narrowed. Hadn't I seen them somewhere? I quickly realized who they were. It was Senna and Kozupi, but something was wrong. They must have heard my footsteps, but they didn't move to look up. They were just sitting there, unmoving. Fuck, they're dead. Senna, Kozupi. I called out their names. They didn't move. What was going on? The minds of the Black Knights are being destroyed. So, we're going to recover them. The D-swords. No way, that's impossible. I ran over to him and looked into Senna's slumped forward face. Yep, she's dead. Senna's eyes were lifeless. There was no light in them at all. The bright light in her eyes, when she'd glare at you, was nowhere to be seen. She was whispering something in a voice so soft I could barely hear it, but I couldn't make out what she was saying. Kozupi was the same. There was no light in her eyes. Drool was falling from her lips, and she was emitting a soft, wordless moan. What had happened to the two of them? What was going on in Shibuya? I looked over to Ayase, hoping she could answer my question, but she didn't seem to care about them at all. Her eyes were on their D-swords, which were lying on the ground next to them. She brought her own D-sword close to them. I heard the awful resonance sound once again. The three D-swords changed shape. There was a shockwave like a blast of wind. When it was gone, Senna and Kozupi D-swords were in Ayase's hands. Now we have 6. Ayase's cheeks were red, like she was excited. She was staring at... Are you gonna... Am I gonna get my D-sword then die, but as I'm dying, you're gonna absorb my D-sword, you're gonna take my sword into you, and have an orgasm. All inappropriate jokes aside, she's excited. I assume they're going to have her doing an actual ahagao as she completes the blade. She was staring at me. Takumi, now you're the only one left. How could she be so calm? I started to snap at her, but just then, the stabbing pain in my head came back. The world turning red, everything rusted and rotted. A terrible smell was coming from Kozupi. She slowly stood up. Her entire body was red. Was it blood? Was it rust? She looked up. The black mist was covering her face. I could feel her intense desire to murder me. Her thin arms reached out as if to strangle me. I blinked and Kozupi was sitting on the ground again. I couldn't see her face because she was slumped forward. I'll kill you. Static, and Kozupi was right beside me. The black mist touched my shoulder. It was so cold I shivered. I'll kill you all. Takumi, I'll rip you apart with the mirror. Her voice was emotionless, machine-like, and that's what made it scarier than usual. I blinked. Senna's body was being ripped apart. Kozubi was bringing down a shard of broken glass on Senna's head. Dark red blood stained Senna's pretty black hair. Kozubi raised the glass again and stabbed. Static. Now Kozubi was unmoving and Senna had come to life. Senna was crouched on top of a prone, homeless man who hadn't been there a minute ago. Her head was pressed up against his shoulder. It was moving up and down, twitching. What was she doing? Her hair was covering her face, and is she eating him like a zombie? Slowly, Senna raised up her hand. The man's shoulder was covered in blood. I could see the raw, exposed meat and the pink, glistening muscle. No, was that blood? Muscle? Rust? Daddy! You're yummy. Senna turned around. Her mouth was covered in blood. She was chewing something. I felt dizzy and fell forward. Then the world was back to normal. The headache was gone. I put a hand to my forehead and shook my head a little. I felt awful, like I was going to vomit. There was no terrible shock or instant feeling of terror, but something like a poison was working its way through my body. A sick feeling that wouldn't go away. I looked up at Senna and Kozubi again. The two of them were sitting there, unmoving. What's wrong? Ayase offered me a hand. She looked like she wanted to say something again. I took her hand and stood up. We left Senna and Kozubi where they were. I wanted to help them, but didn't feel like I had the strength to do it. And Ayase didn't seem to care. We headed back to Shibuya Station. We encountered several injured people on the way our back. A whole bunch of dead bodies, too. Ayase was looking up at the sky. Tense, I resisted the urge to throw up and spoke to her. What kind of ending do you want? Ending? Ayua was missing. Senna and Kozubi had their minds destroyed. Ayase had taken the D-swords from all the Gigalomaniacs. Well, stolen would be more accurate. And Ayase was the one who had set it all up to happen, too. Could I be sure it wasn't Ayase? Had she just been lucky enough it had every single Gigalomaniac with a D-sword conveniently have their mind destroyed just before she got there? Not a chance in hell. And if Ayase had set that up, the earthquake was her doing. Gladio was a myth that Ayase had created. Can you be sure this earthquake wasn't your delusion? This isn't what you wanted, right? Yes. Why? Takumi, don't be in such a hurry to reach a conclusion. The prophecy has already been written by Ziegler. I knew of it, that's all. The Gladio book is just your delusion. There's no such book. You saw it in my room. Yeah, I saw it, but the pages were empty. You just couldn't see the words. That's bullshit, you're lying. Are you trying to trick me? There are 6.7 billion worlds. One for every human being. And every world is different. None of them are identical. It's the same for you and me. That's true. Show me your source. You can't you? Ayase stared at me, her eyes narrowed. It was like she didn't know what to say. It was more like she was trying to keep her feelings from showing. Do you want to see it? The world I see. If you can show me, then show me. Even if you did, I still wouldn't believe it, though. No, Takumi. You're already seeing it. My world and yours are starting to synchronize. So the red mist thing is what you see. And I'm just kind of seeing it from time to time. What? The world turned to rust again. I could see a black mist hovering over the people on the ground. There was a child crushed in the rubble. His head was poking out. A man who looked like his father was trying to save him. Static. The father was stamping his foot onto the child's head. The boy's skull was split open like a watermelon. Blood and brains were everywhere. More static. The boy's head was unharmed. The father was shouting at him, "Hang in there. I'll get you out." Static. Yeah. It does remind me, like, there's sometimes I'll see stuff on YouTube where people post stuff that's like a little concerning. Like, there was a thing about there was a mother who like picked up her child by the ankle, and then like you remember like in the Avengers movie. Now, of course, the kid didn't die, and actually just got up and was crying, but she literally like picked it up like the Hulk picked up Loki and slammed the kid into the fucking ground, and then started spanking the child. I mean, the child didn't die, but it's like I don't know how, but I'm like, holy shit, you should not be a parent. Oh my fucking god. Like, here's the thing, I can at least agree with the idea that it's okay to spank your children, but at the same time, I think personally it's better not to. But definitely fucking physical abuse is holy shit. If you're being physically abusive to a child, you should not be a fucking parent. The boy wasn't under the rubble anymore. He was screaming at his father, "Get your ass moving, you old geezer." He was stabbing him with a knife. A short distance away, a young man and a woman were sitting on the ground. They were huddled together under a blanket. The static wrapped itself around them, and the man was raping the woman. The woman's screams echoed off the broken street. Her screams disappeared in another burst of static. The two of them were sitting there, silently. Two middle-aged women were slowly moving down the street. They looked like sisters. A burst of static, and one was yanking the other by the hair. She was pulling hard, dragging down the street. Tufts of hair were being pulled out. More static, and everything was normal. What is this?
私の世界よ
My world. This, it was her delusion, not mine. Or was it a delusion at all? Was it real? I could see the black mist around Ayase's chest, too. I looked away, trying to keep it out of my field of vision.
匠の見ていた
What
空
color
は
was your
ど
sky?
んな色をしていた
It was blue, of course.
青い。
あんな色
Like that? Ayase pointed at the sky. It was red.
あれは
That's red
白
bronze.
土色だ。
匠の見ていた空はどんな色をしていた
That's red bronze.
赤土色
Red bronze?
あの色は
That's not blue then.
青じゃないのね
Oh, so yours is the normal world. I'm the one seeing all the psycho bullshit. Great. Okay, well, at least that's cleared up. It's definitely not blue, obviously.
青空じゃないよ、常識的に。
でも
But to me, that's
私
blue.
にとっては
What
あ
are
の
you
色
talking
が
about?
青なのよ
The rust is my delusion.
匠は説明でき
Can
る
you explain blue?
青色
what
って
kind- What?
どんな色
What? Can you explain blue? What kind of color is blue? Are you colorblind? What kind of color is the color of the
だから
sky?
空の色。
あの色の
That's the
差
only
しか知
color
らない
I've
の
ever
よ
seen the sky have.
私は
You are colorblind. You should know this. This should be something that doctors should have. This. Everybody knows what blue looks like.
知ってるでしょ。
Well, I mean, if you can make me see your delusion, can I make you see the color blue? Can I, like, project the color blue in your brain? Explain then, without using examples. What kind of color is blue? Okay. Obviously, I can't say the ocean is blue because you don't have examples. So, again, I don't know how well this translates into colorblind, but I would say red would be... Imagine if you had purple, and then you took red away from purple. Because red and blue combined make purple. So as long as you understand what purple looks like, because red plus blue equals purple. So if you at least understand what purple looks like, take purple and subtract red, and you get blue. Without using examples. I thought, but nowhere to go. I couldn't come up with any way to explain the color blue. Ayase looked sad when she saw my reaction.
世界は 約60
I didn't know you were colorblind. That's not a...
そう言ったはずよ。空の色も67
The sky is
分で
6.7. That's not how that works, but okay. Not everyone necessarily sees the same
見て
sky.
いるものが同じだ
You're
とは
just
考え
colorblind.
ないわ。
Can I project, like, with psychic powers, the blue into your head? Everything turned back to normal. This color was my sky.
綾瀬は
You spent your whole life seeing that world?
ずっとあんな世界を見てきたの。
She gave me a soft nod.
生まれた時からずっと
Ever since I was born,
それが当たり前のことだと
I
思
thought it
っ
was
ていた
normal. Just how the world
世
was.
界の構造として。でも
But that's
違う
not true, is it? After hearing what you said, I finally
匠の
understand.
話を
Well, I want to be able to, like,
理
let
解で
you
きたわ。
see, the happy blue sky. I finally understand.
あの
What
黒い
is that
もやは
black
何なの
mist?
写真
The wicked hearts.
誰かが
Every
持っ
human
てい
has
る
them.
も
These
の
wicked
が
hearts are what feed
人が
Gladiol and give him shape.
見えた
Could you see them?
人々
people's negative
の妄
delusions?
想が
Was that what I was seeing when I was seeing the static? And then all those people were doing all those terrible things?
私は
I've
昔
always seen them.
黒騎士ならば
All the Black Knights
程
can
度
see
の
them,
差はあっても
to a greater or lesser degree.
そこ
What
に
you're
ある
seeing
の
is
は
raw, exposed
むき
evil.
出しの悪
Raw, exposed
むき出しの
desire.
欲望
So Yasi had been seeing that world since the day she was born.
巧み
Takumi
私
The
の
ending
望
I
む
want
結末この錆びついた世界から
is for my soul to escape
魂
this
ごと
rusted
抜け
world.
出すこと
Okay, can I just like let you be able to see the world the way I see it?
そのために
For that to happen, I must
ブ
defeat
ラジオール
Gladiol.
を倒さなければならないのよ
Ayase walked over to me.
だから
So,
見つけて
find it. Are you actually a clone of a human brain inside of Gladiol? Is Gladiol just a giant... Heck, is it the same, like the Magi system out of Evangelion? How it's modeled off the brain of these scientists that made it? Or actually, I think it might actually have the literal fucking brain of the person. I don't know. But you guys get what I'm saying. After all, she kind of like reminds me of like a DBZ fusion of Rei Ayanami and Asuka Soryu Langley from Evangelion. So, maybe she's like a DBZ fusion of those two characters.
あとは匠
You're
だ
the
けだ
only one left.
理想
Find your D-sword. I
無
can't.
理だ
I grabbed Ayase's shoulder and pushed her away. Ayase's eyes went wide like she was shocked by what I had done.
なぜ
Why are you giving up?
諦めるの
I have low self-esteem.
僕は
I'm not the
綾瀬が
special
思う
person
ほ
you
ど
think I
す
am.
ごい人間じゃないどれだけ
No matter how hard I try, I don't
理
get
想度が
anywhere.
手に入る兆候すらないじゃないかオーフロントの時
Even
も
at the Old Front
そうだ
building,
った
I
し
couldn't get it.
地震が起
Not
きて
even
から
after the
も
earthquake.
オーフ
I
ロ
don't
ント
know
が
how
わ
to
か
do
んない
it.
んだ
I'll never get the D-sword.
理想度なんて自信がな
I
いよ
just can't.
それなら
Then why did
な
you
ぜ
save
私
me?
を助けたの
Because I didn't want you to die. Ayase approached me again with a new forcefulness in her step. I mean, heck, if I could delusion you into having, be able to see colors, I think that would be nice. I mean, I know I would feel sad if I couldn't see the color blue. Save you? What are you talking about?
私が
When I
学
jumped
校
off
の
the
屋上
roof
から
at
飛び
school.
降りた
You shouldn't know I did that.
花壇のある世界を生み出した
You created a world where there was a flower bed below.
だ
Yeah,
から
so
私は一つ上のステージに魂を
that's
移す
why I
こと
wasn't
は
able to
で
move
き
my
なかった
soul
わ
to the next stage. It was just luck. I didn't even mean to do it.
それでも
But,
いいと
but I
思っ
was
て
fine with that because it showed me your power.
知ることができたからあの時から
Ever since then, you
君
became
は
my
私の
hope.
希望になったから
You're hoping in the hopeless here. Please don't have any hopes for me. Don't expect me to do anything.
匠
Takumi,
自分を卑下しないで
don't underestimate yourself.
それは
What
邪
you're
神の
experiencing
精神
is a
支
psychic
配
invasion from the King of Wicked
負けて
Hearts.
はいけ
You
ない
can't let him defeat you.
君には力がある
You have the power. I know you do. Okay, so I just had to have my hot goth girlfriend have faith in me. The power of you believing in me. I mean, all jokes aside, it actually would be nice to actually have someone believe in me.
手に入
You
れら
can
れ
find it. You will find
必
it.
ず
Find your
理
D-sword.
想道
D-swordo.
無理だ
I can't. I
Murida.
just can't. I thought I could stay with Yase. I thought she was the only one who could protect me. But now, after spending time with her, I understood. I couldn't stay with her after all. The world she saw was just too different from my own. To be perfectly blunt, she was too crazy for me. I'm a piece of shit, aren't I? But I am who I am.
なぜそんなことを言うの？
Why are you saying these things? Are you reading my mind? Did you, like, absorb? Okay, so let's see. Kozapi had... Okay, so you can see the negative delusions of other people. I seem to be able to do all 6, naturally. Which means technically you and I are equal right now. You're like, well, what do you mean she has 6 swords? No, because my sword actually had superpowers. Because keep in mind, I'm not a real person. I was created by a dude with super cancer, who created Satan, Gladiol, Angel, Koru, Nagasaga, Magi, whatever. The giant sphere of death. I created the Death Star. But Kozapi can speak telepathically. Rimi can feed delusions into people. Okay, so let's see. Kozapi. Okay. Ayase's natural power is to see... Okay, so... Because here's the thing. All the powers they have are ones that I pick up naturally. Especially when I get my sword. That being said... Kozapi's special power is telepathy. Senna's special power is to be able to create additional items that can be rebooted. Ayase can see people's delusions. And I think Yua can control, like, elements. Like wind and electricity and water and fire. Or something, I don't know. I didn't see enough of her sword to know anything. So I really don't know. Rimi can project delusions. So Rimi, Ayase, Kosuke Senna, Yua, and Nanami. I don't know what Nanami's power would be. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, can you read my mind now? Why are you saying these things? She was clinging to me with tears in her eyes. The cool, unemotional girl I'd known was nowhere to be seen.
私は
I don't want to be in
こんな
this
世
world.
界にいたくない。
Please. Release me. I'm not going to kill you.
解放して私の
Be my hope.
希望になって黒騎士として
Awaken as a black knight.
無理だよ。
I can't.
無理じゃない。
You can. Believe in the you that believes in Gurren Lagann. Ayase's world synchronized with mine again. The black mist flowed out of her chest and wrapped around my body. It was like an anaconda encircling its prey to squeeze and kill it. I could feel its awfulness up against my skin. It was Ayase's raw, exposed desire. I wasn't. Nobody... Fuck, I didn't get to read that. I wasn't, nobody was, used to seeing the exposed emotions of other human beings. Ah, static.
君は私の
You are my hope. Ayase was staring at me, her eyes were pitch black.
君を
I'm glad you
離さな
didn't
い
draw it that way. I won't let you go.
常に
I'll keep you with me, no matter what I have to do. Her fingers started unbuttoning my blazer buttons, one by one.
君を欲しい。
I want you. She pressed herself up against me, like she'd done when she kissed me in the closet. I was frozen solid. I couldn't move. All the buttons were undone, and she opened my shirt, and she then began to loosen my belt and lower the zipper of my pants.
君
I want your power.
欲しい。
Her cold hands ran across the skin of my chest.
君の力が欲しいの。君の力が欲しいの。
And then she dug her nails. The pain was awful, but I still couldn't move.
欲しいの。
I want it. The fingers dug into my flesh, went between my bones. And gently grabbed my beating heart? Yeah, it sounds a bit painful. I was shaking from fear, from pain, and from the coldness of her hands.
あったかい。
So warm. I'm taking this. Alright? I'm not sure what to say about this. Stop! I could feel the blood vessels bursting. Blood poured out from my chest. She was taking it. She was taking my heart. The world suddenly changed color. Everything was dim and blurry again. The red bronze color was gone. My body was unharmed. I put my hand to my chest, and I could feel my heartbeat. My heart was right there. Are you okay? Did you see all that happen? I don't know what's happening. She was standing in front of me. Her expression looked sad, like she might cry again any moment. Again, she'd taken the D-sword from Yua. When I'd first seen her world... Did you actually absorb my D-sword? That's when she'd taken the D-sword from Senna and Kosubi. So did you absorb my D-sword without me actually learning how to control it? She always looked at me like she was trying not to cry. Takumi, are you going to explode like a nuclear bomb? I mean, I didn't mean to. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the apology. I mean, everyone's kind of going crazy from the psychic things happening. I'm losing control of my own wicked heart. It's fine. I think we're all going crazy. I may have taken too many D-swords inside myself. The psychic invasion of the King of Hearts is driving me crazy. Wasn't that all just part of your delusion? Everything you're telling me is a lie, isn't it? The words came to mind, but I didn't say them. I couldn't say them. Ayase was always so cold, so reserved. She never had any kind of expression on her face at all, but now she looked so sad. She was showing me how fragile she truly was. What do I do? A very small tear ran from the corner of her eye. She was looking at me desperately. He's taking over the King of Wicked Hearts. Before long, I'll cease to be myself. So, remove it. Remove the impure, wicked heart that's inside me. I don't have the manual for that. What do I do? How do I remove it? You saw my world, right? That black mist is the impure, wicked heart given form. Raw, exposed evil. Grab it and pull it out of my body. Okay, how? I can't, just the thought of doing something so disgusting. Please, Takumi. I want to stay me. Save my world. I don't know how. Then slowly she dropped to the ground. She looked so frail. We promised. She told me this. I'll protect you. So I want you to protect me. Senna and Kosubi were broken beyond repair. Rimi was gone. I didn't want to lose Ayase too. That was part of it. But more than anything, I wanted to save her. I knew there was no way I could. But even if Ayase was just crazy, even if this was all just part of her delusion, I wanted to save her. The second I had that thought, rust covered the world. I could see the black mist, coiled like a snake about to strike. One end coming out of her chest. Just looking at it made me feel terrible. I wanted to look away, but if I did, nothing would change. I had to try. But I couldn't. My heart felt like it was being crushed in my chest. The headache was getting worse. I can't do it. I can't. I can't do it. I'm not that kind of person who could save somebody else. Takumi. I looked up when she called my name. She was offering me her hand. Wet eyes stared straight at me. Come. Do what you want with me. I'm not sure what's happening at this point. Complete trust, or maybe just dependency. But nobody had ever relied on me like this before. My heart was starting to lose hope. But with the help of Ayase's voice, I managed to keep from giving up. I bit my lip and took a step toward her. Her black snake stretched out to me like it had found new prey, and wrapped around my neck. It was so freezing cold that it actually felt hot. It wrapped... Why am I reminded of the 2002 Punisher movie that came out around the same time as the very first Spider-Man movie? It had that guy, you know, that really tall black guy from The Green Mile? I can't remember his name. But he's an amazing actor. He played the Kingpin in the Daredevil movie. It was also the same year. All those movies came at the exact same time. They had really cool soundtracks. I think Evanescence was a really big band around that time, too. Ayase fell toward me. All the strength had left her body. I had to support her from falling. Takumi. It wrapped around my neck with a gentle, almost pleasant force. I put my hands around her thin waist. You're really sure?
いいの
You look like you've had blood loss. Like, there's no blood, but like the way she's looking, it's almost like she's about to go unconscious. What the fuck is happening? Right, she's kind of going insane from the... Well, not insane. Maybe it's a blood pressure thing. I don't know. You sure? Go ahead. I gulped loudly, and then I reached my hand out toward the black snake coming from her chest.
本当にいいの
いいわ。
In an instant, the mist took physical form and became a black leech. The feeling of disgust got even worse. Ayase's wicked heart in its purest form, the ugliest parts of her, the ones she didn't want to show anybody. That's what this was. I grabbed the leech's body. It was slippery, and so cold it was physically painful. I wanted to let go of it immediately, but I didn't. Ayase was moaning with a look on her face, somewhere between ecstasy and pain. Pull it. Take it out. I pulled as hard as I could. I could feel what felt like tearing flesh. Black liquid poured out from her heart. It got all over my hands and face. I couldn't tell if it was blood or something else. I ignored it and kept pulling at the leech. Are you okay? I stopped. I couldn't take her screaming, but Ayase put her hand on mine.
止めないで。
Panting noises, don't stop. I'm fine.
ダメじゃないから。
Her voice was strong, even if she was covered in sweat. I didn't hesitate anymore. If I did, I'd just make her suffer.
抜けろ
Come out. I used all my strength. I pulled on the leech. Her body was spasming hard. The leech kept coming out. It was longer than I had thought. It turned into a black lump and wrapped itself around my arms. It was squeezing my hands with incredible strength. Maybe these were the death throes? I grit my teeth in pain. I pulled it out, but I didn't know what to do with it. Pray? Ayase gently stroked my cheek, leaning her body up against mine. Pray that the impure wicked heart may become a pure one. The black wicked heart in my hand began to glow with a purple light, with a sound like a microphone feedback or a scream. Oh, there's my D-sword. It turned into a sword. A D-sword. I'd wanted it so badly, but I'd never been able to get one, and now it was in my hands. Ayase's wicked heart had become a D-sword. You look like you're bleeding. You've awakened, Takumi. You seem to be bleeding slightly. Are you okay? As I held her in my arms, Ayase smiled. She was still in pain, but she was smiling. There was sweat on her forehead, and her bangs were stuck to her brow. Thank you for waking up. Did I really do something worth thank you? I couldn't tell. I wasn't sure. Ayase put her hand around my neck. She held me tight. You were the only one. The only one who listened to me. It made me happy. So happy. Her body was so hot, the black liquid on her chest was gradually turning red. The blood stained my clothes, too. I didn't care. I held Ayase close tightly. Her breathing was ragged, and with each breath she took, her whole body heaved. I could smell her sweat, but even that didn't bother me.
大好き。
I love you. Did I love Ayase? Maybe I was just dependent on her, but she was dependent on me too. That wasn't so bad, was it? Maybe we could just stay together, like this. Okay. What's happening? Suddenly the sky behind Ayase turned from reddish bronze to black. Is she dying? It was like a stain, or maybe a star? But the size of the stain grew bigger and bigger. It was on its way to blotting out the whole sky.
なんだ
What is that?
あれ
I whispered in shock, and Ayase saw that something was wrong, and with my help, staggered to her feet to look up at the sky.
あれが
That's the King of Wicked Hearts, awakened.
ついに侵略を始めたんだわ。
His invasion has begun. It has begun! Mortal Kombat! Dun 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 dun.
結局
Did I not make it in time?
私は間に合わなかったというの。もう
Is it too
止められ
late
ない
to stop it?
そんなこ
I
と
won't let this happen.
させない。
Okay, well, you at least look like you're doing better, so you're not gonna die. Good. Ayase pulled her D-sword from empty air. Well, what are you going to do?
グラジオ
This is written in the
記録
apocalyptic
紙幣に
Psalms of
は
Gladiol.
こう書かれているわ。7本の
When the
竜
seven
が
D
集
swords
まった
gather, the
時
great black snake of the darkness shall appear. Oh, that reminds me of the Laguna Blade coil thing from the second season of the Slayers anime from 1995 with Lena Inverse.
それは
It is
純
pure
粋
wicked
なる
heart,
邪心
made
の塊
manifest, a wicked heart
邪
that can
心を
slay
ほぐることの
another
でき
wicked
る
heart.
邪心。あらゆる
That
崩
which is
壊
the
を
same
飲み
yet
込み
different, which swallows all
邪心の
destruction
身を
and
砕
can
く
shatter
こと
the
ができ
body of the
同
king
質にして
of
異
wicked
質な
hearts,
る
which is
もの
probably Nerose, whatever the rest of his name is.
その大事
I'm going to summon it here
出
and
現さ
defeat
せるのよ
Gladiol, the antiparticles, for the scientific
倒
stuff.
すために
She was still unsteady, but she somehow managed to raise her D-sword and close her eyes. It was almost like she was meditating. But I waited for a moment and nothing happened. The sky had turned completely black now. It was almost like night had fallen. No, it was even worse. The black mist had become a fog that settled over the city of Shibuya. It became a tsunami, filling the city of Shibuya with wicked hearts. It was getting closer, slowly traveling across the rubble-filled ground. Everything was turning black. It was infecting the whole world without a sound. And then, the wave was upon us, lapping at our feet. I let out a moan of despair. The rusty world was starting to rot. It was rotting, collapsing, turning to nothingness. And the people, the corpses, the rubble, everything was melting together and giving off a terrible stench.
綾瀬どうにかならないの
Ayase, isn't there something you can do?
どうして
Why? Ayase was looking at her sword tearfully, ignoring my call.
理想度が何
I have all
下がっ
seven
ている
swords. Why
どう
won't you
して
come?
現れないのこのままじゃ
Gladiol is about to
グラジ
swallow
オ
up the
ルに
whole
世界
world.
を飲み込まれてしまうわやっぱり
Maybe I needed the seven Black Knights after all. Yeah, we kind of need to not be dead.
どうし予言通り
Maybe I
に
need to
進
do
め
it,
なき
just like the prophecy
ゃダ
said.
メだったのよ
The waves were getting higher and higher. They had been at our ankles just 30 seconds ago, and now we were at our knees. Are we just going to drown in a tsunami? The strange thing was that I could feel my body resisting being swept away by the waves. Did that mean they were physically here? They weren't just an illusion? I mean, maybe there's a tsunami. The thought terrified me. Shibuya is really about to rot away. Ayase, you need to come up with a delusion. One that defeats Gladiol. I screamed. I couldn't take any more, but Ayase shook her head.
私の
The
妄
Psalms
想
of
じゃない
Gladiol
わ
aren't my
グ
delusion.
ラジオル記は
What if they're secretly Bond's delusion? Maybe not, but we should be able to change the prophecy and come up with a new delusion, right? That's the power of a Gigalomaniac. No, a Black Knight, isn't it?
でも
But Takumi,
匠
she was looking at me helplessly.
わからない
I don't know. I don't know
どう
what
す
to
れ
do.
ばいいのか
No. And we just both die. I couldn't speak. The black mist was covering the whole world. The sky was completely dark. There were no stars, no light at all. The black waves were up to our waists, and a torrent of water was threatening to pull us under. It was all we could do to stay standing. A half-melted corpse flowed right past us, buoyed by the water. If I went under, I'd end up like that too. The thought made me want to scream in terror. What do I do? What do I do? But no ideas came. I wasn't a hero, just a creepy otaku. Even if I had a D-sword now, I didn't know how to use it. I was completely useless. Somebody should have just staked me to a wall and killed me, right? Like in the crucifixion murder? And then I suddenly remembered Fes' song, the lyrics. Sing. It wasn't just a guess. It was the only thing I could think of, but I wasn't sure it would work. Your songs are what spread your delusions to the world. The world Fes had created had captivated the youth of Shibuya. The myths of Gladio by themselves weren't anything special. They might not even exist. Maybe they were a delusion that only Ayase had ever possessed. But now that it's changed, phantoms and songs have spread to those myths, to every young person in the city. She'd created a shared awareness. So sing. Sing a song that defeats Gladio Fes. You want me to sing? Here? Yes. You told me before, didn't you? That your songs were what gave you guidance. Yes, I did.
そうね。言ったわ。そして
And that concert is where I
あの
met
ライ
you.
ブで匠と出会えた。匠。
Takumi. Ayase reached out her hand to me. I grabbed it and held it tight.
匠は
Do you like them,
好
Takumi?
き。
My songs?
私の
Yeah, I do. Though the concert was a little overwhelming, but yeah. Yeah. I'd listened to the CD, I'd bought the concert a bunch of times. I hadn't because of how much I hated the crowds, but I'd actually wanted to go see her concert a bunch more times. I nodded, and Ayase smiled and looked so happy. Even if this is the end,
ここで滅びても別にいいかもしれない。匠がそう言ってくれたから
maybe that's okay, now that I've heard you say that.
歌うわ。聞いていて。
I'll sing. Listen to me, Takumi. Ayase closed her eyes, she concentrated, focusing her mind just for a moment, and then she took a deep breath. When she opened her eyes again, she wasn't Ayase anymore. She was Fes, the lead singer of Phantasm.
最下に契約の地を
A bloody contract for your sins. She whispered the name of the song and began to sing. Her voice echoed toward the dark black sky.
杭を打て
Pounding the stake, pounding the stake.
闇夜を切り裂き月光を浴びて
Tear through the darkness and bathe in the moonlight.
幾千もの鉄鎚は何時の痛みとなりて今解き放たれる
10,000 iron hammers, bringing you pain, now unleashed.
やがて叫びは宙に舞い
Your screams dance in the air, staining the night sky red.
染まるだろう十字の杭は力となり
The crucifix stakes will grant you power and bring you to the Holy Land. Is this actually just the secret Bible of the Church of Divine Light, people? And we're like, she's just like mind reading Sua? The song lyrics gave the hint I needed. Bring you to the Holy Land, the crucifix. Don't I have one on me? Ayase, to drive in the
杭を打
stakes.
つんだ。
The song wasn't about the crucified murder at all.
7本の
Bring the
リソー
7
ドを
D
合わせ
swords
て
together and pound them
闇
into
夜
the
に打
dark
ち込
night.
むんだ。
This was a song about Gladiol's defeat, the song that would liberate Ayase from her arrested world.
綾瀬の世界を
Destroy your world.
壊せ。
Ayase stared at me. Her eyes were ablaze with fire. I always thought that she was the most beautiful when she was singing. She felt so much alive. So much more alive. There was no trace of the despair that had been there just a moment ago. Ayase understood exactly what I meant. She said nothing, just nodded. She held my hand tighter. As I struggled to stay upright against the black waves, I entrusted Ayase with my D-sword. When she took it, a red light surrounded it, and it disappeared. But it wasn't gone forever. The red light was swallowed up by the Ayase sword, like something guiding it there. I watched it go and let go of Ayase's hand. You're gonna, throw it like the spear of Longinus? This really is Evangelion. She unleashed the power of the Black Knight. The air around her began to shake with an intense, violent blast of wind. You're gonna launch it like a fucking spear. That's cool. Lance and Longinus time. The black waves were pushed back by the shaking air and began to swirl around us like a whirlpool. There was not even a slight trace of the bored and languid girl that Ayase usually was. She raised her sword. She took a wide stance, and she swung. Her body was filled with nervous tension and with a strength of will that was looking toward the future. The pure destructive impulses within her, the ones she was barely keeping in check, they were ready to explode. The red pulsing grew faster and faster. The sword controls fate. That sword is a convergence of sorrow. That sword allows us to interfere with a higher plane. A double-edged sword which swallows up wicked hearts and which buries them. The cry of Ayase's soul seeking salvation took physical form. It was a manifestation of a chaotic heart. Her glare was locked on a single point. The black heavens. The ones that had covered the blue sky I knew. The ones that had covered the red sky she knew. A sky of impure, wicked hearts, about to bring darkness to the world. All that was left for me to do was pray. The king of wicked hearts, or the Black Knight. It was up to Ayase which would be the winner. But strangely, I felt certain I knew who the victor would be. The myths Ayase had created for songs would never lose to the king of wicked hearts. So, stakes. Pierce the world. Pierce the heavens with your drill. Gurren Lagann. May the door to the heavens be open. Pierce the heavens. Your drill will be the one to pierce the heavens. With the speed of a bent bow snapping forward. Ayase threw the weapon with all her might. A line of light appeared in the sky. The impact blew away the darkness, pierced the red heavens, and stabbed into the sky. The sky cracked. The crack grew wider. And then, with a flood of sound, the world shattered. And then the next thing I knew, color had returned to the world. The sky was blue. I couldn't explain the color with words, but the sky I looked up at was blue. Had we defeated Gladio, if nothing else, the black mist covering the world was gone. A warm, soft hand held my own. Ayase was standing beside me. She was looking up at the sky and wordlessly weeping.
青はあんなに美しい色をしていたのね。
Blue Blue is such a beautiful color, isn't it?
見えるの？
Can you see it?
青はあんなに美しい色をしていたのね。見えるわ。
I can.
匠が見ているのと同じ色の空が。
The same sky that you see. Such a pure color. So pure it seeps into your heart. So pure it hurts to look at. I never knew that such a pure color was spread out right above our heads. Shibuya was buried in rubble. It was a city of death. There was no trace of the glitter and brightness it had before. But Ayase looked at it, eyes squinting at the light, and said,
世界はこんなにも美しいのね。
The world is such a beautiful place, isn't it? She softly squeezed my hand as she spoke. And now we've unlocked the ability to do the final ending of the game, Blue Sky. "96 of the CGs. One final ending. Though apparently there's also a prelude that unlocks after we beat this. But yeah, next time, the final ending of the game. Later, guys.